your glory. We the Ambazonians pledge our loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who fought along we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation flowing with the holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Good evening, Ambazonians on ground 0, ground 1, ground 2 and 3. Good evening, Europe. Good afternoon, the US, and good morning, Asia. All money place day. I am your humble servant, Dr. Julius Nyih, the Vice President of the Ambazonia Governing Council. I give 21 gun salute to the Ambazonian Defense Forces and sister forces in Du, who have taken out one enemy's personnel on the battlefield. On a daily basis, we degrade through tactical and strategic operations the resources, both human and material, psychological, of the enemy. We make sure that our people see the results on a daily basis. We make sure that the enemy sees our determination on a daily basis. I also extend salutations to the brave warriors in the dungeons of La République and in the dungeons of collaborators of La République du Cameroon, such as Norway and other countries who have made it their duty to support a genocidal regime called Cameroon. I also salute our internally displaced, our refugees in the different countries around the world. I know you are unshaken. I know the rule of Cameroon in Ambazonia ends with this generation. In the last 8 years, when the octogorian president of Cameroon, Paul Biya, declared war on Ambazonia, they gave you 2 days. Some of them tried and gave you 2 months, and they were going to crush you. After 8 years, what they term as the 2 cubes of sugar have absorbed the basin of water, and there's no water left. Cameroon is defeated by the bravery of the men and women fighting under the flag, by the bravery of the men and women supporting our people on the ground, supporting our people in diplomacy, in communication, in community mobilization, and in other aspects of the revolution, including the legal sphere that emerged over 6 months ago. Fellow countrymen and women, history would note you as a people who had no chance against Goliath, who is Cameroon. But you stood your ground using bare hands at the start, 3 branches to rise up to start challenging Cameroon with the same tools, the same material, the same ideals, from rooftop to rooftop, from community to community, and from town to town. In the last 6 months, Cameroon thought that when they arrest the harbinger of self-defense, the harbinger of diplomacy, the Iroko of the Ambazonian people, the towering figure in defiance of Cameroon's occupation of Ambazonia in the name of Dr. Cho, they were going to crumble the leadership in the diaspora, because all the other mushrooms groups have been bought over or have surrendered in the face of Cameroon's brutality. We know from history how the French helped Cameroon with its military to decapitate the Bamilikis, to decapitate the true nationalists like the Umyobes and all the other members of UPC. Cameroon, at the onset of the war, used similar tactics. They brought in the French, the Chadians, they decapitated Samsoya, they burned Mami Api, they burned Baby Mata in order to degrade, in order to denigrate, in order to show you how brutal they would go so that you can succumb to their illegal occupation. Later did Cameroon know that this is not the generation of the 60s, the 70s, or the 80s. This was the never again generation. Through our tactics, our strategies, we have defeated Cameroon. Since 2017, when they declared war upon us, we activated the triad approach. The Ambazonian people bought into that triad approach wholeheartedly, despite the emergence of enablers, blacklegs, infiltrators, self-appointed elites who were eating crumbs from Cameroon. We have prevailed. In the triad approach, we have mobilized our people, we have made them to gain consciousness, and we have made our people to know that they are different from Cameroon. In every corner of Ambazonia, from children that are born to the elderly, they know they are different from Cameroon. That difference is clear in our norms, in our rules, in our demeanor, in our character, in defiantly posturing with our emblems, the emblems of Ambazonia. Within the Ambazonian sphere, both in the diaspora and on ground zero, we have activated self-defense as a master of human rights based on Cameroon's genocidal tactics in Ambazonia. Through self-defense and through civil disobedience in the ghost towns, in the boycotts of colonial activities and colonial projects, we have made our land ungovernable. We have degraded Cameroon economically. Through our diplomacy, we have blocked Cameroon's economic lifeline in the international community. And in the coming months, Cameroon will be cut off. We are working on that. In terms of targeted diplomacy, over the last 5 years, we have seen the UK Parliament, the US Congress, a resolution and a discussion from the United Nations, and particularly a session in the United Nations Security Council about Ambazonia. The UN Security Council has never met to discuss Ambazonia since 1961. But thanks to your diplomatic efforts, they were able to sit and discuss Ambazonia. The world is changing, my people. A new world order is coming into shape. The multipolar world is coming to reality. And the old folks that sat in the Berlin conference to share Africa among themselves are on the back foot. The new world order is coming, where peace is prioritized over neo-colonialism, where peace and stability is prioritized over nefarious interest. The new world order has ushered in new opportunities for Ambazonia, and for the first time since 1961, when the French and the British hook-winged Ambazonia to Cameroon, we have been able to put Ambazonia issue on the table. Ambazonia is being discussed in the relevant centers of power, and the results are trickling in. All of these are part of a broader plan. This new world order has shaken the old folks of Europe, the neo-colonialists, the cutthroat capitalists in Europe who arrested Dr. Cho on the orders of the Sleepy Joe administration, and faced with the fact that the new administration has ignored Europe, has put Europe on the back foot, and is engaging with Ambazonia. Norway's reputation has been damaged. France has nowhere to hide. Cameroon is dumbfounded, and Norway has no option but to start looking into how to release the leader. I can confirm to you that this morning between 8:15 and 9:30 Norwegian time, the court in Oslo sat to discuss on the release of Dr. Cho Ayaba, based on the pressure that you Ambazonians people have mounted at home, abroad, and in all corners of the globe. Norway knew its reputation as the harbinger of human rights around the world was shattered, is being shattered, and it will continuously be shattered through the continuous detention of the sick. And as such, they initiated a kangaroo court system to save face. Norway, you are caught between the rock and the hard place. There is no legal machinations that would save your reputation. By siding with Cameroon to arrest Dr. Cho, you have inscribed your name in the history book as a rhetorical partner in the preservation of human rights that your diplomatic efforts are anchored on. During that session today, the state prosecutor deviated from the facts that were at play and brought in the issue of keeping Dr. Cho based on the fact that he had not given clear explanation for why he banned through the AGovC the sale of brasseries drinks in Ambazonia. The arguments for the state prosecutor remains the economic interests of France and Cameroon that the Ambazonian Governing Council, through press releases and policy positions, have banned. Cameroon, we have bad news for you. Through the War Council, the Ambazonian Governing Council has instructed all fighters on the ground from now henceforth to put a total ban and stop all activities related to brasseries to Cameroon in Ambazonia. It also shows you the connection of France as a majority shareholder in brasseries in the detention of Dr. Cho Ayaba. It also shows you the connivance of Norway's legal system to arrest, to stifle, to deny political rights and free speech fellow countrymen and women. The judge has released his verdict on whether to release Dr. Cho or not. And the verdict was in the affirmative, that there was no more reason keeping Dr. Cho. But the state prosecutor has immediately indicated that they are going to appeal. And as such, your leader remains in detention since 2 hours ago because the state prosecutor wants to appeal. Under Norwegian legal system, an appeal window is in the region of 2 weeks. So we expect the state prosecutor to appeal the case, the decision to let Dr. Cho go by the judge during this week or latest next week. And it also takes another week or two to make that judgment. I can assure you that Dr. Cho would be released in weeks and not more months. The pressure from Washington, the pressure from Ground Zero, the pressure from other relevant quarters in Europe are just too much to bear on Norway, who connived with some rogues in Washington, rogues in Paris and Yaoundé to deny political and free voice to Dr. Cho Ayaba. Lest I forget, it is also the case to show the world that Norway is caught between the rock and the hard place, that they have refused, even in court today, to identify the complainant to the case. Norway has kept the identity of the complainant secret because they know that their government, their legal system, and the police have been used by genocidal regimes in order to try to decapitate the Ambazonian War of Liberation. They thought by arresting Dr. Cho, it was going to end the war. Cameroon has also reached out to the Ambazonian Defense Forces generals on the ground. They have informed the War Council. The War Council has informed the AGovC. We are monitoring their activities. They think by negotiating with ADF on the ground, they're going to cut the AGovC out. I have bad news for you. Our structures and processes are ironclad. Our intelligence is top class. We pick on every intel, we collaborate, and we work hand in glove. That is the reason why we are still standing. If you think by killing weapon, by killing Major JC, you're going to end the war. There are so many Major JCs. There are so many major weapons. There are so many Dr. Cho Ayaba, because this generation will bring an end to your thuggery, to your theft, to your imposed colonial rule in Ambazonia. We are steadfast. We are inching closer to that day. And the triad approach has delivered gains on the ground. Today it was due. 2 days ago it was Ndonga Mantu, where we continue to show the enemy who controls the land. The war in Ambazonia, my people, has moved a little bit from overt and posturing on social media to covert war. We are fighting them and bringing them down day in, day out, and they know our stamina. They know our tactics are superior. We have changed tactics, and Cameroon is feeling the heat. We have made sure that in every corner of Ambazonia, the vestiges of Cameroon, the enablers and traitors are brought to account. Cameroon has lost the mentality, the psychology to fight. Cameroon's military lacked the expertise and the will to fight Ambazonia, and as such, they have recruited among us the blacklegs. We will come after you. They have recruited among us now the chiefs to use culture in order to infiltrate and weaken us. All the funds and chiefs parading for Cameroon, following our traditional norms, we will bring you to justice, depending on the locality and the cultural norms in place. In some chiefdoms and some fondoms in Ambazonia, chiefs are decapitated, chiefs are exiled, chiefs are punished, and we will make sure you are judged and punished following the cultural norms in your chiefdom and fondom. If you think you can eat crumbs on the blood of your fallen people, it is a treacherous act, and you'll be brought to justice. Fellow countrymen and women, at the beginning, we launched the triad approach. That triad approach has delivered gains. We are now moving from the triad approach to the lightening phase of the revolution. In the lightening phase of the revolution, you have what we call the ISR strategies. These are the final strategies that would bring freedom to our people and recognition. The ISR strategy stands for intelligence, swift, and results. And as we start this 2025, we have begun to implement the ISR strategies. Going forward, we will be intelligent. We have engaged in intelligent diplomacy, intelligence gathering, and surgical operations on the ground. We now fight Cameroon at our chosen time, our chosen location, and our chosen tactics, and Cameroon knows that. That is part of the intelligent strategy, which embodies the lightening phase of the revolution. In terms of swiftness, we are steadily and carefully planning for the final phase. In the swift strategy, there will be less talking, but more build up. We are building up our capacities in community mobilization, in self-defense against genocide, and in diplomacy to make sure that once the time for the final march to Boya, as I told you before, we are at the top of the mountain. We are waiting for the right moment to descend. Remember, when America was booted out of Afghanistan, America held power to the last day. Nowadays, wars are not won by bringing down 20, 200 bodies of your enemy. So in Ambazonia, you will not see the defense forces bring down a whole contingent. But you would see in reality, as they've already started, pack out in a hurry in the swift strategy. We will determine when our people will begin the swift strategy. Under this swift approach, we call on our people to be vigilant, to follow instructions. From time to time, we will continuously communicate with you how to behave, what postures to take, and how to conduct yourself in the swift and the final push to Boya. The ISR approach also includes short-term results, medium-term results, and long-term results. During that time, as you see in the months ahead, new resolutions emerging from different parliaments, different Congress, and different international organizations. In the short term, you see Cameroon blocked out of the financial system, sometimes covertly, more sanctions. In the medium to long term, you might not be able to visualize the results. but we'll be working in the background, building up for the recognition and the freedom of Ambazonia. It is in the calculus of Ambazonia that we will achieve our liberation before our final recognition. And as such, the ISR approach is anchored on continuous planning, heavy build-up, which we engaged in at the beginning of this year, and we're still continuing, both in self-defense, in community mobilization, and targeted diplomacy. And I wish to thank our counterparts in the US, in select countries in Europe, who have engaged with us and continuously engaged with us in terms of diplomacy, because they are now convinced that Ambazonia is a reality. At the appropriate time, we will give you guidance, my people. We will give you instructions. All we call upon you is to follow such instructions. Your liberation would come at a speed of lightning. It will surprise most of you how quickly Cameroon would fall at that time. We are monitoring the system, and we will initiate the lightning strategy once the build-up is complete at the appropriate time, because the stars are perfectly being aligned towards Ambazonia. This is the phase of the building up of the ISR approach, or the ISR strategy: intelligence, swiftness, and results. We will not communicate to you on a daily basis, especially from my office, but rest assured that we will bring to you both the short-term, medium-term, and long-term results. Some of the results are meant to build up for the final long-term results. But those that are palpable, you will see them, you would notice, you would live them. Fellow countrymen and women, I wish to sincerely thank all of you who have contributed to the lobby firm, to the legal firms. We have put in place a strong legal team to defend Ambazonians, not only in Norway, but also in Europe and in the USA. We have also now registered Ambazonia in the United States in the same status as the National Rifle Association. And as such, Ambazonians are protected from now henceforth. Ambazonians can contribute to lobbying, to political campaigns, to human rights defense, to humanitarian activities without fear of the law. I know many organizations, including the AGovC, had registered Ambazonia in the past as NGOs. We have moved away from such approaches because the long-term and strategic results were limited. I call upon you all to redouble your effort as we engage in this ISR approach, as we build up for the final push. It might take months, but rest assured, believe in the AGovC, believe in the ADF, believe in the sister forces. And I can assure you that over the last 6 months, 26 different forces have aligned with the ADF. We have allowed them to keep their identity, but work hand in glove to make sure that Cameroon faces the heat. I am proud of your resilient Ambazonian people at home and abroad. I am happy and delighted to live during this phase of liberation. I am honored to be a member of the Never Again generation, and that Cameroon has heard from us. They are hearing from us, and they will hear from us. Hail, hail this land of glory.
Hail this land of glory. We Ambazonians, special loyalty. Praises to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who brought the lonely gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, usually repent in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, usually repent in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be